Today we're talking to Jane Merrick. Jane is an outstanding CX leader with a background across telecommunications, financial services and travel. So we're pleased to have the opportunity to chat to her today about her CX experiences.
Great, thanks, Louise. Yeah, really, most of my career I've been in marketing, and I think that really leads nicely to customer experience and delivering those right branded experiences.
So Jane, what's been the biggest shift that you've seen in marketing throughout your career?
I've been in marketing for a long time, and I think definitely the biggest change I've seen is CRM and data being cool. Because when I first started in marketing a very long time ago, my first job was actually with Avon Products, which was, one of the original direct selling organisations.
Yes.
Very much based on data and ROI. And that was probably good grounding for me. But as I moved into other organisations and did other roles, CRM and direct marketing was always the daggy part of marketing. I think it was always the one that went last in the presentations, probably always sat in the worst part of the office and wasn't glamorous like brand and sponsorships and different part. And I think that has been the biggest shift, that, CRM and data is now the thing to have. It's the cool kid on the block. You can't have one without the other. And I think that recognition of the strength that data plays in effective communication and effective marketing has really been a significant improvement in the way probably marketers and organisations deal with that type of challenge.
Jane, what do you think has been the impact of COVID-19 on companies' approaches to CX?
Companies have been forced into digital transformation that they probably never thought possible. I was having a conversation with someone this morning actually that had been told, 4 months before, that the work that they wanted to do from a digital point of view was impossible. And then within, 2 weeks of COVID-19 really hitting, their whole business model had changed. So I think that's probably driven significant change for organisations at a much faster pace than they ever would have thought possible. And I think the ones that are doing it well are the ones where really that customer is at the heart of what they're trying to do and looking at what problems need to be solved. And so applying that customer lens to be able to deliver those right solutions is where companies are coming out, in a really good, and on the other side, a really, really bad light.
So Jane, which companies do you think have got it right with their CX approaches? Has there been any great examples of companies that have done CX well during this period?
Yeah, I think, look, there are ones like really obvious players like the big supermarkets, I think, did a great job in actually trying to shift their business models to working towards how they deliver their service towards more vulnerable, the more vulnerable people in the community, and adapt to that sudden demand that they had. So I think they've done a great job. Look, I think the other industry that I think has done a great job is hospitality. And my husband, and so, they've really had to change. I mean, that was an industry that basically got shut down. My husband is a chef and just works for a place near us. And within sort of a week or so, their whole business model had shifted from probably that fear of just not being open to actually changing to takeaway only, responsible servicing, and shifting their whole offering that they had towards what customers needed at that time. At the other end of the scale is a restaurant like Attica, which is, one of the top restaurants in Australia, that suddenly lost their clientele overnight from both, lack of overseas visitors plus people not being able to go out. And I read a really interesting interview with the owner who said within 4 days their whole business model had shifted. And I can't, that type of offering that they do that is so bespoke, and it's all about the experience when you go into that restaurant. Yes. They had to shift that to how do we survive? And they shifted to Attica at home. Their front of house staff became delivery people, including the owner and his partner. People couldn't believe they were ordering a different type of experience when it was being delivered to their home, and the owner was delivering it. And I think that experience where they actually looked at every step of that customer journey, from what it was like for people to be ordering and what they were doing through to delivery and having that experience at home, it's really incredible. And I think they're the ones that their business models are probably going to change, you know, on a more permanent basis because they've seen different opportunities.
Jane, the way that we connected was that I read an amazing LinkedIn post that you put out there. Can you tell us about that and how that's worked out for you?
Thanks, Joy. Yeah, it was lovely meeting you. So I actually left my job and left my role off the back of a redundancy and a restructure at the beginning of March, thinking that, you know, I would, you know, take a little bit of time out and then be able to find a new role. And then pretty much 2 weeks later, the world changed. And, you know, I have been in this position before, and I know that in order to get another job, you really need to network. And previously that's meant going out and having coffees and speaking to people, and suddenly we were all in lockdown, and you know, there was no opportunity to network with people. And so I just thought that maybe there was a different way. And I think at the same time I was also being quite reflective about the fact that, you know, I was actually quite fortunate not to be working at that time as well, because suddenly my kids were being homeschooled. You know, everything was sort of being crazy around us. And, you know, I really admire those people that then had to probably work and look after everything else. And I was just really fortunate that I could focus on my kids and focus on the well-being of our family. And at the same time, like the weather that we've had over this time, and it might seem insignificant, but I think it's just been incredible. So I think I put a reflective post on, just sort of talking about how I was feeling in the craziness of the world, and feeling quite fortunate that I'd had this time and being able to do lots of outdoors activities and still swim, you know, in a safe way. And also the fact that, you know, not being able to work allowed me to spend time with my daughter, homeschooling, and I realised that she was actually struggling quite a lot. And I know that I wouldn't have recognised that if I was working. So there were so many comments and posts just generally in the world about how things were dire, and I just felt different. So I reflected on that and I wrote a post, and then I said to stay connected, my aim was to try and have 100 coffees, which I'd read is what you need to do between now and your next job. So, and whether that was real or virtual. And look, the response that I got was just completely unexpected and overwhelming. You know, I think I had something like 55,000 views of my post. It was shared enormously.
Wow.
You know, over 600 people, you know, reacted to it. And then I had, I think, over 150 or 180 people commenting or wanting to have a coffee. And
wonderful.
And so, yeah, that's sort of what happened. And then, you know, it all started.
Yeah. So, Jane, what would you say you've learned during the COVID-19 experience?
You know, I've learned that firstly, we're really lucky to be in Australia. I think that's probably something that keeps coming to the forefront of my mind. Extremely lucky. And as we come into the next wave of unknown, that's one thing. But for me, and probably the experiences that I've personally been through, and reaching out and speaking to people, it's really about being open to new experiences and new ideas, and experimenting in different ways that probably makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I know, you know, for every uncomfortable moment I've had, you know, I've got something out of it. And I think probably the most important thing is that relationships really matter. So we all get caught up in our busy world and we lose connection with people. And, you know, in this environment where one is in a virtual world, relationships are probably even more important. So that's something that I'm going to try and hold true to maintaining those relationships, and, you know, really focusing on different new and exciting opportunities.
Thanks so much for your time today, Jane. And look, if anyone is looking for an amazing CX leader, Jane is open to opportunities. So please get in touch with us and we'd be more than happy to introduce you to Jane. Thanks again, Jane.